In the mid-1960s, a nightmare that haunted the Indian subcontinent during the 1943 Bengal famine and others before it came back. Two successive droughts between 1964 and 66 brought down food production by 20%, creating an acute food shortage across the country. Prices skyrocketed and thousands went hungry. Cities like Calcutta were flooded with hungry and malnourished people who poured in from the villages. The dire situation called for a drastic solution. And so, the Indian Green Revolution was born. Two Indians played a critical role in the advent and success of the Green Revolution. One was Chidambaram Subramaniam, Minister for Food and Agriculture in the Lal Bahadur Shastri government, and the other was agriculture scientist Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, who became the face of the Green Revolution. At the center of the Green Revolution was a rapid increase in the production of wheat across the states of Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh in what is today called the wheat belt of India. This was achieved through the use of special high-yielding variety or HYV seeds. When Shastri became Prime Minister in June 1964, India was sitting on a ticking time bomb. A study by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization back in 1961 had warned that by 1966, India's population growth would outstrip its rice and wheat production, resulting in famines. India had been importing wheat under the US Public Law 480 to meet the food shortage. The grain was channeled directly into the food distribution system, giving rise to the phrase "ship to mouth." Beginning with 3.1 million tons in 1956, the PL 480 imports shot up to 10 million tons in 1966. But US President Lyndon Johnson was threatening to cut wheat supplies under PL 480. Dr. M.S. Swaminathan convinced Subramaniam that the solution to the food crisis lay in cultivating high-yield grains which would increase their output. During the 1950s and early 1960s, the government strategy was focused on expanding the area under cultivation, but the yield was abysmally low. Swaminathan had studied his issue deeply. He had been so deeply impacted by the terrible Bengal famine of 1943 that he had dropped out of medical school in Kerala to study agricultural science so that he could contribute to food security. For over a decade, Swaminathan had focused on developing genetically engineered seeds. While working at the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Swaminathan collaborated with American agronomist Norman Borlaug. Borlaug, who won the Nobel Prize in 1970, had developed Mexican variety of hybrid seeds of wheat that dramatically increased output. Swaminathan realized that the Mexican variety of seeds suited Indian conditions. While Subramaniam was convinced by Swaminathan's formula, he faced political opposition. So he converted the lawn of his 5-acre plot where he lived in New Delhi into a demonstration farm to show that the HYV seeds could solve chronic food shortages. The government imported HYV seeds which were used on demonstration farms in wheat-growing areas of Punjab, Haryana and western Uttar Pradesh. These areas had large land holdings, better irrigation facilities, and farmers could afford costly hybrid seeds and fertilizers. They became the cradle for the Green Revolution. In 1966 and 67, the first year of the Green Revolution, 2.4 million hectares of land, of a total of 130 million hectares were reserved for cultivation of HYV wheat. The experiment was so successful that the total area under HYV cultivation increased to 15 million hectares in 1970 to 71. The total food grain production in 1971 was 108 million tons, an increase of over 40% from 1965 to 66. India terminated the embarrassing PL 480 imports in 1971 as the nation had achieved food self-sufficiency. The first phase of the Green Revolution had succeeded.